So how I've been doing it so far is I wrote a blog piece which was about how the strong Black woman archetype has showed up for me, and noticing how it's impacted my mom and her mom, especially obviously in the maternal lineage. However, it's about a 4-minute read, and I feel like when I watched the recordings back, it was just it just felt a bit long to be sitting there for you to listen to me, to read it. Although it was great to start the conversation, I just felt that beginning bit was a bit too long. So maybe I should just start with introducing you.
Yes.
And then maybe if you can introduce yourself really and just tell us about, who you are. So Laurence, you are a lovely friend of mine. And you're a therapist, a doula, and an artist. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I guess I've invited you here to have a conversation with me about the strong Black woman archetype. And I guess if it has resonated with you on your journey, how it has showed up for you and the work that you've done to heal that.
Wow, that's it's a big question, and it's a very important one. It's a very important one because while being strong is quite attractive, right? It sounds really cool. And when you say that I'm strong, there is a sense that you can overcome everything and that you are invincible. And it is simply not true. And as I've been through life, I just realized that, wow, this is so tiring. And I had to be really mindful with my prayers, and I laid out my intention, because if you keep on asking to have the strength, what the universe sends you at sometimes it can almost kill you, right?
Absolutely.
So if you keep on saying that I'm strong and strong, you keep on manifesting these experiences that are really, really painful. And because you're so strong, and because the world thinks you're so strong, they never actually think that you need caring, that you need attention. And that can be in every aspect of our lives. It can be within the family, it can be within friendships, and it's also, transpire into workspace and also into romantic relationships. And I've seen it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Affecting me in all these aspects of my life. And I just had to sit down and be like, whoa, let's just stop. What do I really need? I really have to look at myself and stop pretending that everything was okay all the time. And I could just take it. And I really had to visit myself from within and really tune in and realize what it is that I actually need, because I can't go on any longer.
Absolutely. Sorry, you're cutting out there, Laurence. You're back.
Okay, I'm back?
Yeah, you're back.
Where did it stop? Did you hear everything?
I can hear you. You're just frozen. Your camera's freezing.
I don't know, because my internet connection is fine, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, no, that's good. We're clear and we're back.
So yeah, and it took me a while to detach myself from the archetype, because, as I said, it's so attractive, and you see it online everywhere. Strong Black woman, strong independent Black woman. I can do it all alone. I mean, even in songs and all of that, it's been so it had become so popular that you want to go along with the narrative, but God, it's really painful, and actually I'd go as far as saying dangerous.
Absolutely, I agree.
It is dangerous, because we're human beings. We're human beings that need care, attention, and rest. And we need the space to be vulnerable, to break down if we need to. And it became important for me that I was witnessed in that, because what the world was expecting of me in all those aspects of my life, I had to be like, stop, actually, there's other shades of me, there's other aspects of me, and I'm going to make sure that you see it.
How do you begin to do that?
I had to be very clear with myself and what it is that I needed. And I had to find a way to be very clear as to how I was expressing it. And boundaries became my best friends. You
Yeah, I
know,
think
the
that's so
power of,
key.
yeah, the power of saying no, and saying no without having to actually give any justifications behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That came later. At first, I was justifying it and having to explain everything. You don't have to explain anything. And it was a gradual work, but eventually it did work to the point that I haven't lost my strength. I'm still strong. But when I need to refill my cup, well, I've managed to find the sources where I can do that. I mean, I've got a lot of self-care things that I do, but sometimes, no, I need somebody to hold me. I need somebody to hear me out, to listen to my story. I need somebody to witness my tears. I need somebody to witness my existence. And so by doing this for myself, I guess that really has shaped the way I work with people as well. I always like to listen to your story, where things are at. And then we work with the body, and energetically, I can also feel what's going on. And if there's anything we need to clear, we can clear it up. But most importantly, I guess the nature of my work is to really allow people to listen to themselves, to have that clarity, that stillness where they can actually find the answers for themselves. And and I mean, you've experienced yourself, like we go to so many places when we do that work, because it involves you, your ancestors, it involves me, my ancestors, and there is this, we're so vast, and when that stillness happen, I believe that's when the true healing happen. And the way I've shaped my work, I'm implementing what has really been successful for me, and I'm implementing it into my sessions, because I started growing and expanding when I was fully seen, and when I was fully acknowledged as a full human being. And as I said, that doesn't remove your strength.
No.
On the contrary, actually, it's very courageous and brave to actually ask for what you need. But I
Absolutely.
think what we see with a lot of God, yeah, you know, I think what we see with a lot of, I'm a bit funny about using the term Black women, because what is within Black, right? I'm West
Oh,
African.
girl.
You know, I'm West African. You from the Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
You know, our history and our ancestral history is completely different. So whatever you bring forward today is very different from what I'm bringing forward today. And that's not saying that yours was worse or better than mine. No, it's just different. And I think these nuances is very important that we appreciate them.
Yeah.
So when we put everybody in the same Black women, I'm like, but what do you mean by that? There's such an erasure of who we are when we just use that term. So I'm trying to be really mindful as to understand where the person is coming from, because when I hear this Jamaican person, or this person from Senegal, or this person from Benin, for me, it's very distinct. By hearing that, I've got visions of, you know, the place they're coming from. And if I've got cultural information, that's telling me a bit more about the person. I don't actually believe that you being born in one place. I was born in France. That doesn't make me French. I happen to be born there. But as far as a common French person is concerned, I'm definitely not French. I don't relate to French history, Napoleon, all of that. That has nothing to do with it, you know? And so, yeah, so I would use the term Black women because that encapsulates, you know, what we want to talk about. Where was I with my train of thought? I was going on to something and then I diverted.
If I can just interject there, Laurence.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, if we take away the Black woman and we just stick with this idea of being, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
If we take away the Black woman and just stick with the idea of being what it means to be a strong woman, it's we're still dealing with the same restraints, you know. It's the suppression of the emotions, it's the denial of self, it's the detachment, not the detachment, sorry, it's the disconnection from ourself.
Yeah.
And you know, when I look at, you know, my, like for example, my grandmother, she left this world without ever really getting her needs met. She was isolated and she was lonely, you know, and I know that that was a lot of conditioning from where she came from. You know, when she came here, I mean, she died when I think she was 75 in this country. But when she came here, there were signs up saying, you know, no Blacks, no dogs, no Irish. So already, not just because of her parents, but the culture and everything conditioned her to keep her mask on, to have her appearance, you know, to be strong and to manage it all. And she raised her children and she became of service to her church and community at a deficit of herself. So, you know, just looking at the strong woman and this idea of strength, I feel like when we unpack that, actually what we uncover is shame and guilt that doesn't even belong to us.
Exactly.
You know,
you've touched on something so important, the shame and the guilt. I mean, the woman's body, regardless of where you are in the world, but especially in the Western world, because that's where, you know, I grew up, that's where I was born. Everything that is absolutely magical and natural to us is actually medicalized and demonized. In the mainstream religion, when a woman is bleeding, when she's having a moon time, she's called dirty, she has to be put aside, put away.
Yes.
In the medical institution, they are trying to control it with the contraceptive pill and all of that. Everything that is actually so magical and powerful about us is being dismissed, and we pretend that it's not important and it's a problem that needs to be fixed.
Yes.
And that goes all the way down to the birthing world.
Oh gosh.
The way birth has been medicalized and the control still we're trying to have on that body. And so it's almost as if you were born and then you grew up thinking that you've got some kind of defect with you. And therefore, society can treat you a certain way because actually you're not a fully functioned human being.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is very important. I think often I want to ask women, do you actually know who you are? Do you actually understand the power that you hold?
Yeah.
And I will always say that the beginning of the healing for us starts with the womb.
Wow.
It starts with the womb because it's been abused in so many ways. And it's not just the colonization and the slavery, in so many ways until today. To me, it's sacred land. And sacred land deserve worship, right? And respect and communion and communication. So the invitation there is that start communicating with your womb and see how everything unfolds into your life. That saved me. Developing that relationship with my womb have saved me on so many levels. It changed the way I walk on earth, literally. And so, and while everything can be quite overwhelming, I think from the not cases, from the people that come to my practice, which are mainly women, I think what transpired that I said we, because, you know, yeah, we are so overwhelmed with everything that we're supposed to do that we can hardly stop thinking as to what we actually need.
Yes.
Because since we're little, we're never given the space to think for ourselves. You know, you've got to be a good partner, a good mom, very good at your job, a good sister, a good auntie, all of that, which relates to other. It's never about us first.
No, no.
When I realized that things really started shifting with me in respect to how people not just view me, but interact with me, is that I've started to filling my cup, and the return is mind-blowing because there's so much more respect. And when I say no, it is no, and that is fully respected. But it's like, if we only change the educations around our girls and make them understand that they are the most precious and important thing, that's not going to take anything away from anything else. You'll be better at everything else.
Yeah.
But it's like a light switch. It's like a light switch that we need to actually feel it, embody it, in order to actually act on it. And I guess that's what happened in my session. I think sometimes the switch is actually lit and you're like, wow, I am all of that. I'm like, yes, you are.
Testament to that.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yes, you are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
wow.
It's good to start having the conversation, and healing is the way forward. And healing can be very messy and very uncomfortable because it's so much easier to stay with the familiarity with which is familiar, even if it's not good. It is so familiar that, okay, we want to stay there because that's what we know. Yeah. So it's about really finding the courage and the strength to just step into something we don't actually know, and trust that it's going to be okay. Choosing ourselves first.
Yes.
Oh my God, sometimes I said that to my client and they look at me like, me first? I'm like, yes, you first.
That's like another language though, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, to choose yourself. You know, when I think about the practice of having to do that, especially being a mother, and you know, again, that comes with another pressure, I guess, being a mother, that you have to manage it all, you know, and putting my children before me, you know, that I've had to really unlearn that. And I think it adds another layer when you have experienced absent parents. So the pressure on yourself is to provide and go above and beyond and literally run on empty, you know? So the idea of giving to myself first, it was foreign language. You know, what does that even mean? How do I know what I need? And, you know, as you said, that connection to the womb, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and that was the first time that I stopped and paid attention. You know, it was the definitive thing for me to say, hold on, you know, some attention is really needed here. And connecting to myself holistically, seeing yourself, seeing homeopathy, working with herbs, all these, you know, going to therapy. There was many different streams that I had to bring in, you know, to come to myself. But it was in listening to my body, because the body knows. The body knows, just, you know, that real silencing and just coming into yourself and tuning in, and yeah, that the body really does know. It knows what it needs.
It knows everything.
It does.
And I think when it comes to like endometriosis, because I'm having a lot more cases of this, and when your body comes to that point, to the point where you can't actually move, yes, you really have to listen. And when it comes around your wombs, you have to look at your entire matriarch. So I always say to my people that it is an opportunity to really look at that healing, because when you do the healing for you, you do it for everybody else. It's about making that firm choice, and they're life-changing choices. It's not about taking, like you said, you had to tackle it from different angles, your herbs, maybe acupuncture, maybe body work, and therapy, counseling, all of that, because it's all these aspects that are affected by it. So everything needs to be taken care of. But it takes a lot of courage to actually do that.
Yeah.
And I imagine, because I don't have children yet, but it's like I can only imagine, because I am so devoted to everything that I do and to the people that are around me. If I had a child now, oh my God. So I can only imagine what it must have been like, difficult for you to think that I need to give myself first, and I need to think of myself first, because it sounds so selfish. It
And
sounds so
we're told
selfish.
it's selfish, right?
Yeah, but it's not.
No.
It's not, because you're putting yourself first, that you're not taking away from anybody. And that is the truth.
Yes.
The more full your cup is, the better mom you're going to be. You're going to be better at everything when you really nurture that temple, that body. Because you said it yourself, it knows everything.
Oh.
And then what? You're going to get sick because you need to lie down for a while and you need to stay still and listen. That's how clever the body is, very intelligent. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's you know, and that I guess that also leads on to the boundaries thing. I think that's also so, again, it's another practice, right? Another practice to respect your no, respect yourself, to love yourself enough to put a loving boundary, you know, because it's not the boundary that is shutting down and disconnecting.
No, it's not a brick wall.
No, it's not. It's honoring yourself. And I think
that generally reflects back. It generally always reflects back, because when you, from my own experience, when you allow everything and you said yes, and you want to be lovely and help everybody, look, everything comes in, right? And you have to be ready to receive everything. And I've had my own experience when is it the way we met, actually, when I opened my doors to give a free session back in 2020 for all Black mothers. Can you hear me? You remember?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was a very interesting experience. I don't regret I've done it, and I don't regret. And I've met you, and you're my friend now, and I've met your mom, and I've met your children. You know what I mean? For me, I've met a whole family, and that is absolutely amazing. But in the back of that, I think I've messaged maybe around 50 women, 50 mothers. Out of the 50, after that, I did a half price until the end of the year. Out of the 50, I think maybe 4 of you kept on coming.
Wow.
And I never heard from the others ever again.
Wow.
And I don't regret having done this, because I felt I needed to do my part as a therapist and holder of space. That's the best I could do at the time. So I did it for me as well, because the feeling of being helpless and powerless was overwhelming. And that to me was good medicine for me.
Absolutely.
Connect and to extend and to open my home to so many people. But then I looked at it and I was like, actually, I know that healing is what is needed, but maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. And it's not my place to tell people what to do. That's not even how I work. So it was a very interesting experience, and a lot was shared. And I enjoyed doing this because I felt I did my part. But at the same time, would I do that again? Probably not. And I've changed actually the way I do things. I still do the act of kindness, but it's down to me. I choose and I decide. And I observe, and I have to observe who I feel will be able to appreciate what I give. And that person will actually be in a place where they appreciate themselves enough to actually fully receive it. So it was a very interesting experience. Because even when the healing is there and it's actually, and I gave it for free at the time, people still don't respect it as much as if they would pay for it.
I feel like you touched on what you touched on is worthiness. It's like worth, you know, and not just for you as the therapist, but for the recipient. I was also on the other end of that healing, and you've been a part of my healing. And the biggest gift that I have received from that is opening myself to receive, you know, and, you know, we're talking about being strong and suppressing our needs and not having boundaries, and then stepping into connecting to the self, connecting to the womb, starting to practice boundaries. You know, we then have to really open up to receive the goodness, you know, and again, the conditioning that tells us we don't have time, we don't have the money, all of that. I really got to see that actually the giving to myself was also in doing things like, you know, getting the massage and getting the healing, but opening to it. It was more than that. It was more than just being present. It was being open to it. Yes. And knowing that I am worthy of receiving this support and help. Because there is something, you know, I feel like our story and being witnessed is lost. And we need, I don't know, maybe I'm limited to seeing this, but I really don't see enough spaces that we can be ourselves and be witnessed. That witnessing for me has been so pivotal to my journey, to my healing, and being able to tell my story, and then being able to receive the support and the love and the holding and the nurturing, you know, that, it's just
it is important. No, I hear you. I mean, it has been so pivotal to my healing. And I feel very fortunate because I grew up with, I'm the youngest of 6 for my mom, and then my dad's got other children. But I've got 3 big sisters, and I've always felt protected and really supported by the women in my family. Like the sisterhood is something that I have in my blood and I've experienced since a very young age. So I've been used to be witnessed and protected by other women. And I think that's why for me, it's just very natural to be there. And I'm very lucky that I've cultivated friends that could be those witnessed again. And it's not about putting all your stuff on them. That's not what I'm talking about. They're not my therapist or anything like that, but it's that amazing feeling of being fully seen.
Yes.
Right? And it's not about fixing anything. It's about being fully seen. And you know what? You can still function with some of the stuff that aren't quite right.
Yes, exactly.
You don't have to fix everything. And I don't even believe that I'm fixed. You really go through life and you have different experiences, and I guess we want it to be as comfortable as possible, to simplify things.
Yeah.
You know, to not going to the fight and the struggle and I think there is an addiction around this narrative as well. Black struggle. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We need to get over ourselves. You know what I mean? It's like, I understand there's been trauma, but once you've done those steps of doing the healing, choose to have a better life.
Yes.
Choose to change the narrative.
Yes.
And choose to celebrate more. We're still investing more in death than life, you know.
Yeah.
There's still more money that is poured out when somebody has died, than somebody that is alive and is doing something good.
That's deep. That is so real.
Okay, and that to me is something that we need to take a serious look at ourselves.
Yeah.
And where we choose to channel that energy. Because I think there is an addiction to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I actually totally agree, and I've seen that in myself. witness the wanting to go back to comfortability, you know, and even stepping into joy. You know, it's like you really have to re-regulate, like to reacclimatize to yourself, because the joy was even like, oh, I don't know if I even want that. not that I don't want it, but it was uncomfortable. It was more comfortable to not, you know. So it's like, yeah, how do we step into that unknown territory? You know, to be honest, even doing something like this is something that is inspiring to me and something that means a lot to me, but it brings fear. And it's like having to really choose, are you going to step into that place of power, or are we going to go back into that disempowered place, you know? And it's again, I feel like it's you know, it can be a practice to keep choosing yourself over and over, you know? Yeah.
So how does that feel to do that today? How does that feel for you?
I feel great.
Yes.
I feel so good. I feel so good. And it's interesting because last week I don't know if I told you about my poetry I've been performing. And I got asked.
Oh.
I know. I got asked to do a feature. And honestly, this is my third performance in 3 months. I haven't performed for 15 years. It's been a long time. But anyway, I got asked to do a feature set, and I was like, ah, and I just said, yes, I'm doing it. And I decided to take the children, and it was on a Sunday evening in East London. And for a moment, my mind was like, okay, we're going to be home late. The kids need to get up in the morning, you know. And I was like, this is the school of life. They need to bear witness to this. They need to be a part of this. This is all necessary and important work for them too. And I'm so glad I did, because my mum came as well. Oh. And there was, when I say, Laurence, the healing that happened. So for the first time my mum witnessed me, she was able to be present, you know, for the experience, to hear me, to see me, and share the moment with me. She's always known that I've been a writer, but she has not been present, you know, not been able to be present. So that was one thing. After my performance, my daughter came to me and she said, Mom, that was amazing. Oh my God. You know, and she, you know, she's dying to be on stage, but she's still working on her confidence, you know. But then she said, do you think I can talk on the mic? And I said to her, yeah, sure, go and ask. And I told her to go and ask the host. And she walked over, and I'm talking to the, you know, the people, we're having a little break. And I just heard this voice singing on the mic. Laurence, my daughter got up and sang in a room of, I don't know, 60, 70 people. She didn't know anybody apart from me, my mom, and her brother. And she sang.
I feel very emotional listening to you speaking, because I've met your daughter. She came to my workshop. And look what you've done. By stepping into your power, she felt safe enough to step into hers instantly. It didn't take long. Instantly. You see, when it doesn't have to take centuries for this to happen.
I know, honestly.
Just there. That is such an amazing and powerful story, because I've met her and I know how shy she can be.
Yeah.
But I could also see that she wanted to step into more, because those kids, they know, they're so pure, they know.
They do. And I feel like, you know, I've really just been so blessed to do this work and gift her with this space to hold her so she can unfold, you know. And I've really been working on giving her the space so she can shine, but she hasn't quite allowed herself to shine outside of the house. You know, she's been, but when I say it happened, you know. And I was so proud, so just,
And your mom was there as well. That is just incredible.
3 generations of women.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, when you say it was instantaneous, it was instantaneous.
Instant.
It was amazing.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to move in that way and things will happen just like that. I've seen it happening to myself. I've seen it happening to people around me. I've seen it happening in my practice. It's about trusting. The thing is, when you're committed to yourself like that, it's not even your job to actually understand how it will unfold. You just have to trust that it will.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
you might be, it will blow your mind because this mystery is full of surprises.
Oh, trust. Trust is the
You
key
know,
word here.
the
It
big
really
thing, as
is.
long as you are not harming anybody, you know, you've got, you know, if you trust and you see what unfolds, and then if there is an uncomfortable situation coming up, maybe there's some more clearing to do. And
Yeah.
it's fine, it's not the end.
No, no. And this work really helps you to transform that, you know, because, you know, I think the healing journey can feel weighty, it can feel arduous, and actually it doesn't have to be. I think sometimes that is the addiction to the burden rather than, you know, seeing the opportunity and the gift of the experience, you know, and bringing some lightness into that learning, into that opportunity to see something else rather than, you know, that saying of, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Say, what is this here to teach me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
flipping things just like that. And it changed the whole energy around the situation. It
Mm,
changed everything.
mm.
So, wow, that's really, really amazing. So, the strong woman. Okay.
Oh. So, for those women out there, Laurence, who maybe are beginning their journeys of looking inward, they're starting to self-inquire about, you know, how this idea of, you know, suppressing the self, emotional restraint and independence and burdening themselves, how, what would you say would be a good starting point to support them with this journey?
Mm. Well, I'll come back to that thought that I had before. It's like, do women actually understand who they are?
Mm,
We understand that we're cyclical humans that are part of the ecosystem. Do they look at the moon? Are they aware of the different cycles of the moon? Because they hold the same cycle. So the invitation that I would like to to extend to women is to start to commune with your cycle and the moon. Start the meditation. Set up a very simple altar that is just about you, with a picture of you when you were little, because that's probably where you picked up all that nonsense that you're choosing to live with today, right?
mm,
Having a tiny, simple, beautiful altar dedicated to you. And even though you don't actually know exactly what it is that you need, then reformulate the prayer. Say, universe, surprise me. Surprise me, send me beautiful, enjoyable surprises, right? And when it comes to love and worth, well, I will recognize what it is because it won't be familiar. That would be my hint. It would not be familiar.
mm.
Love is not supposed to hurt. Love hurts. No. Lies hurts. Betrayal hurts.
Yes.
Right?
Mm.
It's not, it's that, no, 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 no. And it's something that I had to admit to myself because I kept on asking love, love, love. And the only love that I knew wasn't love. So I kept on attracting the same kind of guys. And I was like, but what is this? And I was like, the only common denominator is you, Laurence.
Mm.
What do you think love is? And I had to really peel back. And it started with the relationship that I had with my father that wasn't great and is still not great. And I could recognize the pattern. It was exactly the same pattern. And I was like, okay, I don't want that anymore. I understand that's not love. And I had to admit to myself, I don't know what love is. So surprise me.
I love that.
Because I can't keep on praying for something I don't have a clue what it is. So while I'm doing the effort of sitting with myself, of doing the meditation, or giving grace to the moon, I'm also asking for the surprise. But while I'm doing that, I am making sure that this temple is looked after.
Yes.
You don't have to know all the answers straight away, and you don't even always know how to ask for things. But you can ask for a nice surprise. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I really had to unplug myself from what I thought I knew what that was, to really throw myself into the unknown. And that to me reflected back by the kind of friendships I started to have. I mean, the past 5 years, I met the most incredible women. Like the friends that I have, they're like my sisters. So it started with that. And then last year, I finally met my beautiful partner. I did have the surprise. It was a big surprise as well. You know what I mean? The way it turned out, the way it came around, I could have never wrote this down for myself.
Yeah.
And that's when I recognized that that's what it was, because it was a big surprise. It was unfamiliar.
Yes.
And it was done in a way that looked like me as I am now. So I'd say to all the sisters out there, start very simple, but make it a point to honor yourself. Yes. And yes, you can have a little shrine that is entirely dedicated to you. Frame a beautiful picture of yourself. Get yourself some flowers. And when the moon is full, you know, give a prayer of gratitude. When the moon is black, plant some seeds. What is it that you'd like? That's when you can ask for the surprise, right? If you don't actually know exactly what it is.
I love that. You actually inspired me to create an altar for myself. I didn't think about myself being on there. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, sorry to cut you, carry on.
Yeah, no, it has been transformational, even having my younger version of myself, my adult self, my beautiful self shining, it has been transformational in terms of how I see me, how I love me, how I show up for myself.
Yeah.
How I really honor myself. So thank you for that. That's
yeah,
really
I think
powerful.
it's because I think a lot of people associate altars with dead people. You can have an altar you can have an altar for yourself too.
Yeah.
And what it does when you see it, it gives you a reminder that you are thinking of yourself and you're doing what you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you so much, Laurence.
I love it.
Oh, you're amazing. You're so amazing, honestly.
It's a reflection.
I just honor you.
Reflection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, take that back. Huh? I take it, don't get me wrong, but it's a reflection.
No, absolutely.
If you're not, I feel, okay? So
I know.
Yeah, it's us.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank you so much, honestly. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So I feel like we have pretty much touched on most of what I'm just having a look at my notes here, really. I feel like we've kind of, you've given so much, you really have. So I wanted to look at, the reparenting, and I feel like we've answered a lot. One of the things I put was, when we strip away what our parents left us with, then what? I think
I think from my observation, of families that, and in my family as well. Children, they observe everything that you do. Absolutely everything. They will mimic everything. They'll do things sometimes. I don't know if your kids have done that. You won't even realize that you were doing, and they would just mirror that exact thing that you
Oh, yes.
do. So just like when you went on stage, your daughter felt the impulse to do as well. And you know what? The more good things you do like that towards yourself, the children are going to do the same. Then it will be, you won't need to actually say you need to do that, because they will see that it works for you and they will just do it. In fact, I don't think they really judge whether it's good or bad or beneficial or not. They just mimic what they have around them. So I'm not a parent yet, and I don't know what kind of parent I'm going to be. I can only imagine it in my head, but reality is a very different thing, and I can't actually speak. But from my observation, if you have these good habits towards themselves, automatically they're going to take that on.
Yeah. It's happening already.
It really is. They move differently. They move differently, these little ones. It's fascinating.
It is. It really is. It's powerful. This is just powerful work. And congratulations on your new love. I didn't know. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's great.
Nice.
He's
nice.
He's special.
We'd have to be anyway, right? Of course.
I guess so.
Nothing less around here, girl.
Yeah, he's very special.
Yeah, you deserve special, my darling. You deserve special.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I take this.
Thank you so much again. I'm going to bring it to a
welcome.
close.
Yeah.